January 30th, 1882. A child was born in Hyde Park, New York, who would one day lead this nation out of a depression, through a war, and become the longest running president in United States history. This man, boy, whatever, was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Now, what you probably don't know about Roosevelt is that he actually only won like 2 of his presidents in like a popular vote landslide. Now, the Electoral College, on the other hand, all of them were a landslide, with the closest one being 432 to 99, and the furthest one being 523 to 8. Now, that one is the election of 1936, which was his second term in office. So you can tell that he did a really good job in his first term. And really the reason that he got like less in his fourth term than any other term was not only because he had had polio for 24 years and was still alive at that point, but it was also because he had been in office for 12 years already. And, I mean, he was getting pretty old, and I guess everyone kind of knew he was going to die soon, which he did end up dying in office on April 12th, 1945. A lot about his New Deal and his relief, reform, and recover programs. You probably know a lot about his fireside chats. You probably learned that in school. I learned that in school. So I'm not really going to get into that. I want to get into more of the man, the legend himself. Now, first I want to show you a cool, in my opinion, cool picture. But before I do that, did you know that someone actually tried to kill this man? Before his first term as president, someone tried to kill him. Which makes a lot of sense if you think that someone tried to kill Theodore as well. I mean, you know, some people just didn't like the Roosevelts. Now, when he was diagnosed with polio, he had to get this thing called a wheelchair. So, the wheelchair that he had was made out of a kitchen chair, like that. This is the actual picture of it. That is exactly what it looked like. The reason they used that chair in particular is because he said it would be easier to get up and out of it and like back down into it if it didn't have arms on the side. So they used the chair without arms on it. Now, a lot of people don't like FDR because he kind of overexceeded the power he was supposed to have as president in order to make sure that the country didn't actually become extinct. Now, a lot of people also don't like the fact that he started selling weapons to the Allied powers in the early days of World War II before the bombing of Pearl Harbor and we actually became part of it. But if you think about it, if you actually think about it, he did what he thought was best for America. He was like, we need industry, we need people working. Yes, maybe a war will kill a lot of people, but it'll also give way more than that jobs, way more people than that jobs, financial security, the ability to eat and fucking support their children. Now, as someone who was raised pretty wealthy, you know, well off in Hyde Park, New York, if you don't know something about New York, I would say a good 84% of people in New York are probably wealthy. Now, something I find kind of cute is when he was 5 years old, he met the president at the time, who was in his first term, Grover Cleveland. And Cleveland told little Franklin, I have one wish for you, little man, that you will never be President of the United States. Oh. Well, you know, I'm kind of glad he did, though. Okay, and another thing that you might want to know about FDR is that his mom actually did not want him to get married to Eleanor Roosevelt. Not because she didn't like Eleanor or anything, but because she was super overprotective. She wanted Franklin all to herself. Sarah Delano, she actually only died 4 years before her son, so, I mean, she lived quite a while. She was 80, I think she was 87 when she died, and that's really old. She loves her son a lot. Like, a lot. his father, James Roosevelt, actually died when Franklin was about 18 in the year 1900. So before he got married and everything. Another thing you probably don't know is that Franklin Delano Roosevelt cheated on Eleanor several times with this one woman over many years. You probably also know that Winston Churchill and FDR were good close friends, which makes sense because both men were the leaders of their time just trying to do their best for the nation, and they were probably the only people who understood each other as well as they could have. Honestly, I don't have that much more to say about FDR. He did a really good job. Yeah, maybe he did overexceed his power. Maybe he knew he was doing something a little out of there. But all in all, he really did do it for the good of the nation. The worst thing he ever did was fuck someone who wasn't Eleanor. And if that is your worst thing you have done after being president of the United States for 12 years, honestly, you are a great man and you deserve to go down in history as such. Have a wonderful day.